Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is going on? Jeff Hartman here, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, for a special episode of The Standard is the Standard. The Steelers didn't play. This is not the post-game show. They played on Thursday. We did that. The Steelers won big time. We all know that. And they won again this Sunday. We'll talk about that in a second as we recap all the action that was in Week 10. The AFC is done for the week. We'll have full conference record standings, all that stuff for you. But first, let me bring in my co-host, Lance Williams. But before I ask him to come on and talk, I want to get his opinion. And we're going to talk about this first. We're going to get it out of the way. The reports. Now, let me say that again. The reports that Le'Veon Bell has decided he ain't showing, that he's not coming. Tuesday is the deadline for him to show up to play this season, and all reports from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, Adam Schefter of ESPN, is that he is not going to show. So, Lance, welcome to the show, and what are your thoughts on Lev Bell just saying, F you guys, I'm taking my ball and going home?
I'm surprised, and I think all of us should be surprised. Typically, football players don't sit out complete seasons unless the league makes them sit out for some other reason because they're not wanted or they're suspended. So it's really strange to see a football player, a guy as good as Le'Veon Bell and as competitive as Le'Veon Bell, decide to sit out. I think this is a new day in the National Football League, and this could be a precedent set for future players.
Yeah, it could be. And I do want to say, and we talked about this last week. I don't know if it was the post game show or if I said it with Chris Carter. Is that he is betting on himself, and this is something he's done on more than one occasion. He did it after the first franchise tag when he was making $12.1 million, and he thought he was going to turn that into a big deal. Didn't happen. He's betting on himself again. This time it's going to be in free agency. The Steelers are not going to tag him a third time. And so he's thinking he's going to make bank. So he's passing up $14.5 million to hopefully get $45 million. That's what Todd Gurley was guaranteed. I'm not sure he's going to get that because of the age. But I think, Lance, you agree that someone's going to pay this guy, right? I mean, they're going to unload the bank account. And they're going to give him what he wants.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the teams, just look for a team with a tremendous amount of cap space. One of the teams that jumps out to me, the New York Jets and the Houston Texans. Imagine putting Le'Veon Bell on turf with Deshaun Watson. I mean, that would be fantastic. And Hopkins back there. You put those three guys on offense, they could possibly dominate that division for the foreseeable future. They're playing good football as it is right now. Add Le'Veon Bell to that mix. So I think Le'Veon Bell is going to get paid. But the National Football League is a very interesting landscape. And it's a landscape where they will make examples of players. And I think to a large extent, Colin Kaepernick has been made an example of. Eric Reed was able to play. He was the guy who put the vicious hit on Ben and got thrown out the game. But sometimes the National Football League makes examples out of guys for trying to act, quote unquote, out of school. And I'm sure that teams are not pleased with a star player like Le'Veon Bell sitting out a season and trying to get paid. I'm sure it's not sitting well with the league. So there could be a potential. I want to give a big shout out to @NoelSchooled, who brought it up on Twitter, one of our avid listeners. Maybe the league is spiteful and maybe nobody signs him because he's trying to exercise power and take advantage of it and really dictate how he's going to play this all out.
I mean, when you think about it, there's already been some signs of that, whether it's Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, making his comments about how the Steelers are better without him, and maybe that's why he's on his jet ski down in Florida. And then even Ron Rivera of the Carolina Panthers this past week leading up to the Thursday night game said he referred to him as the other guy. He did not say his name. Now, some drew a lot out of that. Some just took it at face value. It's Le'Veon Bell, and we're talking one of the premier players in the league. Most people would at least say the man's name, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's how it's going to go down. But I am really, really curious and anxious in a way to see. I'm just going to assume two things here: that A, he's not going to show up, and B, that he's going to go somewhere next season that's not the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those are safe assumptions, in my opinion, but they're still assumptions. Those are not concrete. I want to see how he does behind another offensive line. That's what I want to see because James Conner, not only has he proven himself this year, he's proven how damn good that offensive line is. I mean, I'm not saying that Jalen Samuels can go out and do that. I'm not saying that Stephen Ridley can do that. But it'll be interesting to see how Le'Veon Bell does. So, I mean, do you think that he is a product of the offensive line and the system, and that he goes somewhere because Houston's offensive line is not that good?
I don't think he's a product of the system. One thing I'll say about Bell and Connor is Connor, before his bout with cancer, he was considered possibly a first round draft pick. So he's a talented guy. And Le'Veon Bell was a second round draft pick. Offensive line running the ball successfully, it's symbiotic. You have to have a good offensive line, and you have to have a good back. There's no way. I think we both agree that Jalen Samuels would not be a productive player with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He would be an average running back. So I think you do have to give Le'Veon and Bell some credit for being an outstanding player. Also, his ability to run routes out of the backfield, blitz protection. I mean, what we're seeing is that both of those guys are very good players. And riddle me this. Maybe Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin know actually what they're doing when they draft players. But I want to throw a question to you, Jeff, because you are a fit guy. You're really into fitness. You eat well, you eat healthy, you eat clean. You're in great shape. If you're a GM looking at Le'Veon Bell, I mean, what's more important to you? Is it the lack of hits on his body, or is it that he's a year older? Does the age discount the fact that his body possibly is fresh because of no hits, or is he just getting older? And we all know about the 30-year-old line mark, the Mendoza line for running backs. What's your perspective on that?
If I'm a general manager, age is going to come into what I offer him. If he's thinking that he's going to get some 5-year deal with guaranteed money out the wazoo, that's not happening. If I'm giving Le'Veon Bell a contract offer, it's going to be a 4-year deal max with, and you know how contracts work in the NFL. 4 years is essentially 2, maybe 3. To me, the hits don't matter because his body's already taken a toll. You look at the knee injuries that he's had, the groin injury that he had. That stuff scares me. So he sat out all this year. To me, he's not in football shape and hasn't been. I'm wondering, what is he going to look like in 2019? He hasn't played football since 2017. What's he going to look like when he steps on the football field? I mean, look at Des Bryant. I mean, the Des Bryant show was over before it even started as he tore his Achilles in practice. So it's one of those situations where not playing football is important. Combine that or compound that with his age, that's not good either. So for me, if I'm a general manager, I'm not giving him a super long deal in no way stretch of the imagination. And I'm also very wary of his body from the past injury standpoint to not playing since 2017 and the fact that, like you said, he is getting over the Mendoza line. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm gonna disagree with you slightly. I think they would do it over 5 years so you can stretch out the cap hit. I mean, that's the only thing I would add to what you're saying. And I think it's going to be really front loaded, like most deals like that, where the third year of the deal is the year you're going to decide whether you're going to either restructure the deal or cut the player. But I think he is going to get paid. But I think his age, like you said, is going to impact him. And I think for the Steelers, I think it is a loss to a certain extent. You want as many good players as possible. We saw the Patriots, and we'll talk about it more, struggle today against the Tennessee Titans. We saw what they were vulnerable to in this game. They were vulnerable to Dion Lewis running the football off tackle. And just imagine if you had both of those guys. I think the Steelers were very unfortunate this weekend with the injury of Dez Bryant. There's no way in the world that did not impact Le'Veon Bell's decision. He had to look at that and say, man, that could be me. Maybe I'll sit out. Also, I think when his representation figured out that if he were franchised again, it would cost the Steelers $25 million. And I think the thing that fans have to realize is if you franchise a guy, you have to have the cap space. So you can't just willy nilly franchise a guy. So I think with that said, they know that they're not going to franchise him again. And even if they transition tag him, he can negotiate with teams. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to transition tag him. He's going to negotiate with teams, re-sign with somebody else, and the Steelers will get compensation. But the big thing for the Steelers is they've still got an outstanding level production of Bell's production with James Conner, which is a win. And they get what? Close to $16 million back in cap space. So
Yeah.
it's a win for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to roll over $14.5 million, and they're going to need every penny because this their salary cap was extremely tight already going into next season. You need that little bit of a cushion, and that's what they're going to get. And so in the long run, the Steelers could possibly benefit because James Conner is a cheaper player. James Conner has proven productive. They saved the salary cap space. They saved some drama in the meantime. But in the immediate future, like you said, there's some issues. You have to wonder, what's going on with the backfield and James Conner and his concussion. And you only have Stephen Ridley and you only have Jalen Samuels behind him. Is that good enough? Can Connor carry the load? They've rolled the dice with this scenario ever since Le'Veon Bell burst onto the scene in 2014. So I don't think that's going to change any. Mike Tomlin loves to run the wheels off of his running back. That's just what he does. So I don't want to spend the whole show talking about Le'Veon Bell because on Wednesday when we have our actual show, The Standard is a Standard, we will have a definitive answer of whether he did or didn't show up. Because, hey, for all we know, these reports could be wrong. All the reports about Le'Veon Bell have been wrong so far. So he could be wrong. That he could show up on Tuesday morning, and he could be a part of the team down the stretch. We don't know. This is all going off reports. But Lance, you have anything else to say about the situation before we move on to today's action?
For whom the bell tolls.
Yeah, man. Who would have saw this coming? I certainly did not. I'll say that. I did not see this coming at all. But you know what? It was an interesting Sunday. The Steelers win big on Thursday Night Football, and so Steeler fans got to sit back and relax this weekend, almost like a mini bye week, watch some football. Let's talk about some AFC scores here. I really don't care about the NFC. The Kansas City Chiefs were actually the Arizona Cardinals played them really tough. Chiefs win 26-14, remain the number one seed in the AFC. The maybe the surprise game of the week, I guess maybe not. The Indianapolis Colts hold serve at home over the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the Steelers' next opponent, 29-26. I watched the majority of the fourth quarter of this game, and it just looked like neither team wanted to win it. It wasn't very good football, but the Colts win 29-26. We'll talk about the standings here in a second. The big surprise, as Lance alluded to earlier, the Tennessee Titans beat the Patriots at home 34-10. Oh, boy. Whew. We'll talk about that one in a second. Another big win was the New Orleans Saints, 51-14 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Has huge AFC North ramifications. We'll get into that as well. The Cleveland Browns, 28, Atlanta Falcons, 16. It's funny, on our preview show, I said if I was going to pick an upset of the week, I'd pick the Browns over the Falcons. I said, but I'm not doing upsets of the week, so I said that I thought the Falcons would win. The Browns do win, 28-16. That was a strange game. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers, almost said San Diego Chargers, 20-6 over the hapless Raiders, who seem like they're playing for the first pick in the 2019 draft. Now, let's go to the standings. In the AFC North, the Steelers remain on top at 6-2-1. The Cincinnati Bengals falling to 5-4 really put some distance between themselves and the Steelers, and that's really a good cushion for Pittsburgh. Baltimore Ravens were off, had a bye week. They're 4-5. And the Cleveland Browns are 3-6-1. News coming out of Baltimore, even on the bye week, is that Joe Flacco has a hip injury, and they're not sure if he's going to be able to play next week when they play the Bengals. This might be Lamar Jackson time in Baltimore. I'll tell you what, Lance, what are your thoughts on just the AFC North division after Week 10 is kind of concluded?
The AFC North is bad. I think we're seeing that it's a bad division. I mean, 51-14, they got their gates blown off. I mean, we thought the New Orleans was going to win, but golly, jeez. I guess the narrative of the Saints not being able to play outside is over. Drew Brees and those boys just came through like scorched earth. And I mean, wow, give a 50 at home. The division is bad.
Coming
And
off a bye too, man. They're coming off a bye week. Now I know they didn't have Perfect, they didn't have AJ Green. They were missing someone else. Well, Lawson tore his ACL, so he was out. So they've had some injuries, but man, coming off a bye and getting 50 plus hung up on you at your home, that's a bad look.
riddle me this, Jeff. The AFC North will have three new coaches next year.
Oof.
Cleveland's getting a new head coach. I think Baltimore's getting one. And Marvin Lewis is out of there. Just imagine that and just how good of a thing that is moving forward for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's going to be three new division coaches next year. Mark my words.
Well, don't you think the Cleveland Browns are so dumb. I could see Williams getting this team to win some games on the stretch, and they say, you know what? We're going to take away the interim tag, and we're going to give you the head coaching job. I could see that happening. I legitimately could. Um, I,
That would be ironic. Not to cut you off, Jeff. That bounty killer,
yeah.
the bounty killer, would get a job. I mean, the NFL. It's. I don't want to take the show into that turn. The NFL is just comical in its hypocrisy that a guy that really threatened the integrity of the game by putting physical bounties on players is a head coach. I mean, that's absolutely despicable. There's no way that Greg Williams, a.k.a. the bounty killer, should be a head coach.
Well, he is right now, technically. And so I wouldn't be shocked. That's a very Cleveland thing to do. I will say that the Cincinnati Bengals, if we rewound the tape and went back to last year this time, we were probably saying the same thing about Marvin Lewis, that he was going to be fired, and he's still coaching the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll say my prediction is one. There's only going to be one new coach next year. That's my theory. Because the Bengals are the Bengals, the Browns are the Browns. They will do something stupid. It's just the truth, man. I mean, I would have bet my house last year that Marvin Lewis was going to get fired, and he kept his job. He kept his job. I don't get it. I mean, the Browns, like you said, the Browns are the Browns, but I mean, my goodness, this just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Marvin, should they be fired? Should Greg Williams have a job? No, not as a head coach. Should Marvin Lewis still have a head coaching job? No, he shouldn't. Harbaugh out of the three is the one that I think would have the longest leash, and I think he's the one that's going to be fired first if they don't make the playoffs, because people in Maryland, people in Baltimore, they're pissed. They are pissed off. This is the first time that the Baltimore Ravens have had any sense of sustained turmoil and or losing really in the last, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah, they
So
have expectations, Jeff.
exactly. It's like Pittsburgh. If you don't make the playoffs for X amount of years, then we'll find someone that can. So that's a discussion as we get closer to the end of the season. But like you said, the AFC North is yeesh.
Garbage. It's
It's,
garbage.
well, you think about
It's a bad. It might be the worst division in the AFC.
even the East with the
Well,
Dolphins.
yeah. Let me rewind the tape. The East is trash. The Jets, Buffalo, Miami. Oh, that's trash. I'll take that back. I misspoke there. Just like my prediction last week. I don't know if it was that bad, but wow, that's bad. And by the way, Jeff is up 2 weeks to none in the predictions.
Yeah, you're
So in the
welcome.
last 2 weeks, Jeff is up. I will give you some credit.
Oh, that's a first. So the AFC North, the Steelers are what? The Steelers at 6-2-1, and the Bengals at 5-4. What is that? A game and a half lead there, Lance? If I'm doing my math correctly.
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay, thank you. He's a math guy. I'm a PE teacher, so. All right, so now I like to. This is the point of the season where the Steelers are now into the second half of the regular season. I like to take a look at the AFC as a whole, because now is when me myself, not anyone else, start to look at playoff pictures and who's where and who has what games remaining. And we're not going to go into remaining schedules, but the Kansas City Chiefs, who won again today against the Arizona Cardinals, are 9-1 and atop the AFC. The second place team, the Los Angeles Chargers, they won again, beating the Raiders. They're 7-2. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-2-1. They are the third place team in their I'm sorry, they're the third place team in the AFC standings. The New England Patriots are 7-3, right behind the Steelers, and the Houston Texans are
Let me
6.
correct you, Jeff. The Steelers are, in fact, the 2 seed in the AFC.
Because if you're looking at the playoff picture, I'm just looking at the
Yes.
standings. The playoff picture, you're right. The Steelers would be the 2 seed because the Chargers and Chiefs are both in the AFC West, and the division winner gets the top seed there. So I'm pretty sure that the Chiefs and Chargers will still meet up one more time this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers will play the LA Chargers and the New England Patriots still this season. And then right behind the Texans at 6-3, you have the Bengals at 5-4, the Titans at 5-4, the Dolphins at 5-5, and then the Ravens and Colts at 4-5, which I would say all those teams are still considered in the hunt. You get down to the 3-6 teams, that's the Browns, the Jags, the Broncos, the Bills, and the Jets. I'm sorry, I just don't consider them in the hunt. So, Lance, what do you think about the AFC right now from a standing standpoint, from a playoff picture standpoint? Do you see one of those teams that's down in the standings currently that could really make a few jumps? Because I'll tell you what, again, the Steelers went on Thursday, they're idle on Sunday, and they just keep moving up like the Jeffersons. Man, they just not continue to move up like the Patriots losing. It's really interesting to see. What do you think?
You were old enough for the Jeffersons?
I saw reruns.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, you're old enough for the Jeffersons? Wait a minute. You weren't watching
Nick
Archie
at Night,
Bunker and
man,
the
Nick at Night. When
Jeffersons?
I was a kid, Nick at Night, there I was on there.
Oh, wow. I was a grown up when Nick at Night came out. Wow, that.
There is an age difference between us. Do we need
Yeah,
to talk about that on the air?
yes, no, we don't. Um, Looking at the standings, I think the thing that stands out, you don't want to have the 3 seed. You do not want to play San Diego. Whatever you can do to avoid the 3 seed, do it. The Steelers got to play some solid football. 1 or the 2 seed is okay as long as you can beat. If you can beat the Chargers and New England down the stretch and secure the 2 seed at minimum, because I don't think anyone's getting the 1 seed. I'd be surprised if Kansas City loses another game. I've been watching the Rams play. I thought they would go undefeated. I was wrong about that as well. I just threw that out there. I like to take a risk and take a chance. See, I'm justifying my bad picks. But with that being said, I think Kansas City beats the Rams later this year, and I don't know if the Kansas City is going to. I can't imagine Kansas City dropping 2 more games.
Well,
So I
well, let,
think
well, let's take a look. So next week on Monday Night Football is the Chiefs go to LA to play the Rams. That's next week. Okay, so that's week 11. In week 12, I believe they have a bye. In week 13, the Chiefs play the Raiders. That's a win. In week 14, the Chiefs play the Ravens. I don't know. You never know. The Ravens can be sneaky sometimes. Then after that, who do they have after that? Trying to find it here. The Chargers in week 15. That's going to be a tough game. And then in week 16, they have the Seahawks at Seattle. That's going to be a tough one. And they finish up against the Raiders again. I could see 2 more losses in there, Lance. I really could against the Chargers, against the Rams. You go to the Seahawks. You never know what's going to happen up there. Would I bet on it? No. But I watched some of that game today, and the Chiefs for the first 3 quarters were very, very mundane, very average, and not the high-powered offense. And they were playing the Cardinals, man. The Arizona Cardinals. They weren't playing some fantastic defense.
it happens in the National Football League. You know what's going to happen as well? Because they did not play very well against the Cardinals, and they have the Rams next week. They're going to play outstanding next week. You know how that's how it works all the time in the National Football League. You win, you correct. Teams circle teams on the schedule. They say they don't. They say it's week to week. It's just about the next game. None of them were fired up to play the Cardinals. They got to win. They get out of there, and now it's all full bore, full go for the Rams next week, and they'll be ready because like you said, San Diego's hot. They're going to be. That's going to be a well of a game. I like the Chiefs in that game, but let's say they lose to and finish 13-3. If the Steelers handle their business, the Chargers, may not win the division. But even in that case, right, the Chargers or the Chiefs will be the 5 seed. So you still want to avoid the 5 seed at all costs.
Well, the goal is always to win your division, and the Steelers right now are in the driver's seat in that respect. And it's early, very early, a lot of football left. Injuries happen. Injuries can derail an entire season, so keep that in your mind. So now is when we're going to open it up for questions. If you're watching live on YouTube and you're part of our live chat, by all means, fire your questions away. We'll answer as many as we get, as many as we can, and then we'll call it a show. I do want to remind everyone that tomorrow, that will be Monday, regardless of when you're listening to this. We'll have the Steelers hangover between Brian and Tony. That is not on YouTube, but you can find that on podcast form probably Tuesday morning. And then Wednesday, we'll be on again for the Standard as a Standard. We'll be back to a normal schedule with Thursday being our preview show. So we have some questions firing in here, Lance. Let's see here. Nicholas Gabriel is asking, what do we think about Week 15? Week 15 has been the same the last 2 years. It's Heinz Field. That's New England Patriots. We kind of alluded to this last show, Lance, the post-game show. You watched the Patriots today. I did not get to see much of that game, I'll be honest with you. You know what the Steelers can do. Has your mind been changed about the Steelers playing the Patriots this year?
No.
Come on.
No.
The Patriots defense is a lot worse than it normally is.
It was bad last year.
It wasn't this bad.
Jesse James will fall down again.
It wasn't 34 points to the Tennessee Titans bad. Not last year.
That's pretty bad, but I don't know, man. I don't have any faith. I just think that something will happen. I mean, something always happens. I mean, I think I was at the last game, the Halloween game, when the Steelers beat the Patriots at Heinz. I was at that game. Or maybe they've beaten them since. I don't know. It happens so infrequently. I'm sure I'm wrong on that. No, nothing has changed.
I disagree. I think this is the year you get the monkey off the back. And I think that this game in Week 15 could have some huge implications in regards to playoff standings and seedings and stuff of that nature. It's going to be important. It always is important, setting up to be that way again. And as Daryl Graham puts, Gronkowski being in or out of the lineup is huge. It always is. And he did not play.
True indeed.
So still only 10 points, though. I mean,
Gronk's on his way out.
Both sides of the Patriots here. I mean, on defense, you're giving up 34 and you're only scoring 10. If they lost 37-34 and they gave up 34, they still won. But I mean, my gosh, only putting up 10 points. That's the Patriots, man. Oh my gosh, Josh McDaniels in that offense. They're no one can touch them. Give me a break.
Gronk's on his way out. Gronk's not playing any longer.
Well, Gronk already looks like a Frankenstein.
Yeah, he's
so many back injuries and surgeries and stuff.
Yeah, Tom looks old too. Tom looks old as well. They're on fumes right now. I mean, if the Steelers catch them not healthy, yeah, but that monkey on the Steelers' back is actually, in the words of Muhammad Ali, a gorilla. It's more than just a monkey. It's a gorilla.
Do you know who doesn't look old? Is Ben Roethlisberger. I watched the game again the other day. I mean, I'll tell you what, the way he's throwing the football, and he's improved as the season's gone on. I know that he struggled in September, so did the whole team, but even his running, he's more mobile now than he has been since he was young. I'm not saying he's as mobile as he was when he came into the league in 2004, but I'm telling you what, it's the year. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. Hey, the tape. I'm calling it now. Steelers beat the Patriots Week 15.
I'm going to tell you this, Jeff. When I watched Ben Roethlisberger try to run to the sidelines or run and slide, It looked like I was watching a 3-hour Titanic movie. I was like, geez, it's taking him forever to go down.
Hey,
Jeez, is this
what you talking about
Titanic?
Carolina? Like, you talking about the scramble that Eric Reed hit him?
Yeah.
No, the worst was to go back a week when he was scrambling and got tackled by Zadarius Smith in Baltimore. Man,
Yes.
it's like he was running
Yes.
in sand, quicksand. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And my high school baseball coach used to say to the kids on our team that was slow, he'd say, "You look like molasses going down a tree on a cold winter's day." He said, kids
It's
would look
pretty
at
damn slow.
me, say, "What?" And he said, "Go get a jar of molasses, see how slow it is." Later in life, I know what he was talking about. All right, so Ron does not like you right now. He said, "Lance, I love you, but the Steelers beat the Patriots and Chargers. But do you think we lose to the Saints?" He said because Lance has basically already given the Saints a Super Bowl win. So
Oh, the Saints are going to rip the Steelers up. But I wouldn't feel bad about it. I mean, they're an NFC team. Playing the
yeah,
Saints on turf, it's just a whole different animal. I mean, at this point this year, hell, they're going outside and putting up 51. They're just a whole different animal in that building. It's not
I
even
get
something you should take
I no,
personally.
no, no, look, I'm not taking it personal. I get it because that's impressive, you know. But I guess my question for you is, when do you start giving the Steelers credit? And
The
you talk
Steelers
about
are a real good football team. I mean, they're
they're a good football team, man. They put up 52 against a 6-2 Panthers team. The Cincinnati Bengals are not as good as the Panthers. That's already been proven, I think, this year.
true. Hey, the Steelers are a very good football team. They're a
I
two
guess what
seed
I'm
in
sorry,
AFC.
sorry to cut you off. I guess I'm expecting you to start saying, you say all these accolades for other teams. Man, they went outside and put up 51. Pittsburgh was outside and put up 52. I mean, against a better team. And you talk about, you go down on the turf, those boys are running on the turf. Pittsburgh is an explosive offense. I guess I just don't know why you don't see what I see, I guess.
Do you see what I see?
Hey, 'tis the season, man. 'Tis the season. I got my tree up. I got my tree.
Listeners, Jeff has a Christmas tree up.
Yeah, you want me to show you? It's right here. I'm sitting
Uh,
right
Je-
next
uh,
to it.
uh,
There you go. Look at that. Look at that.
it's
I got
not
kids,
Thanksgiving.
man. I got 5 kids. They were really excited. I'm a sucker for those little goblins, and I put the tree up. They wanted me to do it, so I did it. I told them we're not putting ornaments on until after Thanksgiving. So whatever.
Ooh, you had to put your foot down there.
I did. You have to draw the line in the sand, Lance. Come on.
Yeah.
Then the ocean comes up and washes it away. So all right, we kind of got off the beaten path here. Let's go back to some questions. Um, this is a really good one, and it refers to the Steelers game in Denver at Mile High. And I'll go ahead as a host and lump in the Oakland game. Do you see any of those two games as trap games? Both are on the road, both are on the West Coast. What are your thoughts?
I think the Raider game could be a trap game
Well, they never win in Oakland.
because they never win at Oakland. I've seen them lose at Oakland so many times, and I'm not a historical stat guy, but Oakland will be so bad at that point. And the Steelers are going through a pretty rough patch, a pretty rough stretch when you look at their schedule. They're playing the Jags, Denver, Chargers. Then you got Raiders. That's pretty tough there. Maybe they're beat up. Maybe they take the Raiders, lightly. So I think the Raider game could be a trap game. But let me give the Steelers some credit.
What?
I don't want to predict the games,
What?
but I'm looking at the Jags, Broncos, Chargers. That's 3. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left. I can see them going 4-3, 5-2 in that mix. I can see them going 5-2 over the course of those 7 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. The Denver game scares me more than Oakland. You watch the Oakland Raiders; they've literally given up. They have literally just given up. But Denver, that's still a proud team. It's a tough place to play. You have the altitude. It's definitely not something that most teams are, comfortable with or used to. It'll be interesting. I don't want to get too much into the Jacksonville game, but someone asked the question: how many touchdowns do you think Ben Roethlisberger throws against that Jacksonville defense next Sunday?
I'm gonna say 3.
Really? Now you said that they were getting carved up with two tight end sets today, right?
Absolutely. There was a lot of coverage bust in the first half. I think every tight end for the Colts caught a touchdown pass, if
Hell,
I'm not mistaken.
Ebron went off.
Yeah.
I think he had two touchdowns. I mean, it might have had a rushing touchdown too. I'm not sure. I had him on
Yeah, I
my
think
FanDuel
I think
line
I think
too.
all three. Doyle caught one, Ebron caught one, and I think the third string tight end caught one as well. So I think they're susceptible to some tight ends. I mean, they're going to give you predictable cover three, and the Steelers have seen it. I don't think the Steelers had any issue moving the football against them in the playoff game. It's defensively will the Steelers be able to hold up. I think the Steelers will play well against Jacksonville.
Well, not only that, this is a game you think about. You just beat Carolina on primetime. You just beat the Ravens the week before. Steeler fans naturally talk about the letdown. They're doing it in the live chat right now as we speak.
No
I think
letdown game there.
not
Not
against
when a team
Jacksonville.
beat you. When a
Not
team beat
against.
you last year at home in the playoffs, no letdown there. That's a revenge game. They got that game circled.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And don't forget, fans, that game is at 1 o'clock now, Eastern Standard Time, not 8:20. It was a Sunday night game. It was flexed out. Just so you know, it was not. It's not going to be a night game. Set your schedules accordingly. Okay. Nate asks, do you think Chris Boswell's past his struggles? He was perfect on Sunday or Thursday night, but he did miss an extra point against the Ravens the week prior. What are your thoughts on Chris Boswell?
I think he's fine. I think the 50-yard field goal was proof enough.
Man, he looks so tight kicking that ball. He is fighting it, man. He is fighting it. And I always talk about golf when I talk about kicking because the actual art of kicking the ball is very similar to the art of hitting a golf ball. Stationary object, the way your leg is swinging is similar to the golf swing. The spin on the ball impacts the way that it moves in the air. And there are times, if you're a golfer, and an avid golfer, been golfing since I was 6 years old, there are times where you play around the golf and you are fighting it the entire time. Fighting it. He's fighting it right now, but I think that he's on his way, hopefully, on the mend. That's what I think. Let's see. Let's get to another. Well, Nicholas asked, why don't the Steelers do something about the Jordan Berry situation? I have figured Jordan Berry out. Do you want to know about Jordan Berry, Lance? I can tell you exactly what it is. Jordan Berry is great if he can kick the ball from midfield every time. If you need a punter to pin people inside the 20, I'd say he's probably top 5 in the league at doing that. If you need a punter with a big leg to flip the field, you might as well cut Jordan Berry right now because he sucks at that. I don't know what it is. He might have one of those. Yeah, I'm talking one of those boomers once every quarter of the season. But other than that, it's not very good. So that's my Jordan Berry philosophy. Lance, what do you think? You think they should have tried out some punters or something?
E equals MC squared. Have you figured that one out too, Jeff?
No, it's a little bit above my pay grade.
Exactly. No one knows what's going to happen to Jordan Berry or with Jordan Berry. I mean, it's it's sort of you just go to the dance with the one you came with. I mean, they know what they have in Jordan Berry. I don't know if they want to bring in another uncertain element into the mix this late in the season. I mean, the only way I think Jordan Berry gets replaced if he gets hurt.
Yeah. All right. Now my last question is for me. It's not from the live chat, and it is: do you think? Let's take tangible evidence off the field with Le'Veon Bell. Do you think Le'Veon Bell, if he does not show up, could somehow be better for the team from the attention gone now? Like, you think do you put any stock into that? That the players won't have to answer questions anymore about him. They won't have to be wondering, is he going to show up? Is he not going to show up? What are your thoughts on that? Do you buy into that stuff, or is that all just superfluous?
I don't really buy into any of that. You know me, Jeff. I I don't think they give a rat's ass at this point. They're just playing football and they're winning. He's not helping them, so they don't care about it. I mean, they'll be happy that they won't be asked, but I don't think they care. I think the only thing they're thinking about is, yay, I'm glad Coach Tomlin gave us off till Wednesday. They're like, he said, come back Wednesday. They said, yippee.
See ya.
Le'Veon, who? I
Yeah,
mean, at this point, they don't care. He can't help them, so they don't care. And they're trying to rest up and take this long weekend to be with family, probably get Thanksgiving plans sorted out, all types of stuff, and just detach and desensitize and get away from some football, get some lifts in, get some treatment. They ain't worried about Le'Veon Bell at all.
I agree. But I do think there's going to be a part of them that just is happy that there's a finality to it. Okay, he's not coming. We mentally we've already moved on probably, but we're really now just we're turning the page, and here we go. This is our team. These are our guys. It's not going to change. No one's going to be coming in. Someone can go snag that locker if they want. So, um, there you have it. Lance, any final words before we call it a show?
Great weekend again for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati Bengals get beat, which is great for them. Also, I want to give a big shout out to the Cal football team. We beat USC for the first time in 14 years. Big up to Cal football. Here we go, Cal, bowl eligible. You know it. You know the story. Tell the whole darn world this is Bear territory. You know it.
Okay. I'm not a big college football guy, but I have an honest question for you. In a world now where there's like 2,000 bowls, is being bowl eligible something to celebrate?
Hell yeah. If you're a
So when
Cal
you play,
football fan,
so
hell yeah.
when you play in the Doritos Holiday Sprinkle Bowl that is on at 2 a.m. in some godforsaken place on ESPN 8 The Ocho, you're there with your cow hat on. Let's go. Yeah, we're in a bowl
Hey
game.
man, we could be in the Kool-Aid bowl. I wouldn't care.
You'll be in
I would not care.
the toilet
We,
bowl in Flushing, Ohio. There you go.
hey,
How
I
about
wouldn't
that
care.
bowl?
We could be in the crab chip bowl. I don't know. You're a Maryland guy. Crab chips,
Yeah.
baby.
There you go.
Be
Those
the
are great.
crab trip bowl. I don't care.
Put some Old Bay on those. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. Thank you for your time. Listeners, thank you for enjoying. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you got a little information out of that. The week that was, it's all week 10's a wrap for the AFC. Monday night game's going to suck. So it's an NFC matchup. It's Giants and 49ers, I think.
Ooh, yuck.
That's awful. That is terrible. So I'll tell you what, that's why we do this show. You get here nothing but Steelers talk for a good 45 minutes to an hour. Remember to follow us on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search BTSC Steelers Radio. You can follow us on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, Art19, Stitch, Google Play, iTunes, you name it. Type in Steelers, we'll be there. Also, make sure you check out BehindTheSteelCurtain.com for all your Pittsburgh Steelers needs. I'm Jeff for Lance. We'll see you next time.